Welcome everyone to this webinar brought to you by the Israel Defense and Security Forum, IDSF. In Hebrew, our name is Habitchonistim. IDSF is a movement of reserve officers and operators from all branches of the Israel Defense Establishment who believe that strong national security priorities and staunch Zionism are necessary for Israel to be the eternal homeland of the Jewish people. Thank you to all of our viewers and supporters who are tuning in each day to these briefings to allow us to bring to you really what's happening in this war. If you have any questions during this briefing, please, of course, feel free to enter them into the chat. We're joined today by Brigadier General Amir Avivi, as well as Ronit and Bruria from the south on the Gaza border, who will share a little bit about what happened down there. And we're going to start, of course, with the General to please provide an update.
So our forces on the ground are advancing, and practically they have surrounded the city of Gaza. The fighting is fierce, but everywhere we encounter terrorists, our soldiers are having the upper hand. We have until now on the ground 18 soldiers killed. Many of these soldiers that were killed, it was one incident of an anti-tank missile that managed to hit one of our Namer APCs, and there basically the whole squad inside the APC died. So I think it tells us something about how well the soldiers are doing, how effective is the work between the ground forces, the Air Force, and the Navy. We are coordinated in an amazing way. The Air Force is assisting very, very close our ground forces. The ground forces overall are well protected. It's not 100%, this is a war, but they are doing well. And we managed to destroy a lot of the underground infrastructure everywhere we are operating in various different ways. Many of the houses inside Gaza are connected to tunnels, so we are demolishing them and bringing them down in order to bury the terrorists inside this underground build-up. This underground, at the end of the day, will be the grave of all these terrorists. We're going to close them inside and kill them. In some cases, we explode them. There are different techniques how we deal with this reality. The people of Israel were very moved by the speeches of our commanders before they go to war, the way they encourage the soldiers and put spirit in them. So we heard in the last days the commander of the Southern Command, the commander of the 162 Division, the commander of Givati and Golani Brigade, and the commanders of the armored forces, all of them talking to the soldiers, explaining to them how important this is and how decisive the win needs to be. And the soldiers are doing the job. They're doing the job and conquering and cleaning up the whole area. It's going to be long. We are first taking control of the whole northern part of the Gaza Strip. This will take time. We're doing it in a very cautious and but determined way, and this is moving forward. At the same time, we see Hezbollah continuing to try to shoot anti-tank missiles and also missiles against our drones. They didn't manage to hit any drone. We destroyed the missiles they shot. We killed quite a lot of terror cells of Hezbollah along the border, and overall what the Northern Command is doing is effective. We foiled 2 attacks from Yemen. We see continuous movement of militias from Iraq into Syria, into the Golan Heights, but we also see now Hezbollah moving forces from the Golan Heights to the southern of Lebanon to reinforce the forces where the Radwan forces are. And we have many, many forces on the northern border, and I think time is coming. I talked about it several times, but this is pretty much the moment. Hezbollah leader is going to speak tomorrow, and as he speaks, we'll know where all this is going, and whether we're going to be in a full-scale war also in the north. And before Nasrallah will talk, already our chief of staff has released a message that we are in full readiness for war in the north, that the Air Force is ready to attack in the north. I can tell you that when I visited the CEO of the Ministry of Defense, it was pretty amazing to see that, you know, we started with a lot of munition for the Air Force. We're attacking firstly Gaza for almost a month. Now we have more munition than we had in the beginning. So the pace that we are equipping ourselves, this is the war machine, and it's now fully working. We're getting a lot of assistance from the US. We're also mobilizing 24/7 our industries and producing huge amounts of munition and equipment. And this is ongoing, and every day that will pass, more and more and more equipment and munition are being produced and sent to the soldiers. We know that in war, economy and industry are crucial. It's not only just about the warriors on the ground, but the ability of a nation to mobilize itself and its economy and bring everything that is needed. You know that in the corona, which was a different kind of crisis, Israel entered the corona with 60% debt to GDP. It's half of what is the debt in the US. With all the money we poured into the economy and to the society, our debt went from 60 to 70. And at the end of corona, it took us 1.5 years to get it back to 60. So Israel is a very, very powerful economy. And we're able to sustain this war for a very, very long time, as much as needed to defeat all our enemies. At the same time, we're mobilizing more and more people in the society to support. Everyone is volunteering, everyone is helping in multiple ways. Our cities and towns have organized themselves in a way that they can defend themselves if they are attacked. We are lacking in the cities rifles, but this is something that Israel is now purchasing and trying to bring more M16s and things like that to support the cities and not only the front. But overall, I would say we are organized. We had today one terror attack in the northern part of Samaria. But overall, things in this region, in Judea and Samaria, are under control, and we are operating very offensively all the time, apprehending terrorists and keeping them on the run. And I believe that this will continue and will be able to sustain our offense also by apprehending more and more terrorists in Judea and Samaria. So the big question is what will happen Friday, what will happen Saturday, Sunday. We might see two scenarios that are different from what is going on now. One is Hezbollah doing much more, but not full-scale war, meaning maybe mobilizing part of their ground forces, maybe shooting more in depths of Israel, but not in a way that makes Israel launch a full-scale war. We in Israel, we still want to overall keep our overall strategy defense in the north and in the east and in Israel and offense in Gaza, but it's not up to us. It depends on what Hezbollah will do, and we'll have to wait and see. Okay, Moshe.
General, I want to ask you just one very technical question, and then we're going to go to Ronit and then bring back some of the bigger questions, because this question keeps coming up. People keep asking about the trophy defense system for the APCs. They want to know how that works. Maybe it doesn't work. Are you able to comment on that?
So the trophy is the most advanced defense against anti-missiles in the world. Our soldiers overall are very protected, and I think that when you understand that we have hundreds and hundreds of APCs and tanks inside Gaza, and we had an event that one APC was hit, this just shows you how well it works, because yes, you don't have 100% success. But it's not that now we are seeing, I don't know, they hit 100 APCs. No, they hit one. So we need to understand that if this is the case, and they hit only one, what does it say about all the others? And they are shooting a lot of anti-tank missiles, okay? They are shooting a lot. So overall, our soldiers are well protected. It's not 100%. Nothing is 100%. We might see more cases like we saw before, but overall, I think that our abilities, our capabilities are good. Now, look, in war, as you engage, as you learn the way the enemy operates, we learn more and more. And every minute that passes, we become more and more effective. We understand how the tunnels are built. We understand how they conduct the warfare. We get experience in coordinating between the Navy, Air Force, and ground forces. And this is why this Israeli war machine is getting stronger and stronger and more effective. And really in war, you need to know how to learn faster than your enemy. And I think this is something we know how to do. We have very smart commanders and soldiers. And as they are operating and uncovering the tunnels and uncovering the positions and all of that, we're learning more and more.
Okay, thank you. We're now going to go to Ronit Farkash in the south, who many of our viewers remember from previous briefings, and she's going to introduce our next speaker. Ronit, please.
Okay, so before I introduce you to Bruriah Carney Hadass, I want to talk about Kerem Shalom. Kerem Shalom is where Bruriah lives, and it's at the border, very close to the Egyptian border, as well as Gaza. It is 30 meters located from Gaza and very close to the Egyptian border. It was established in 1956. And Bruriah, won't you tell us how many families reside there before you start telling us your story of the Shabbat, the Black Shabbat of the 7th of October? Tell us about how many families are there and children.
Kerem Shalom is a small community of about 50 families with 200 children from babies to 18 years old. It's a mixed community of religious and secular people, and very close to the border of Gaza, about 30 meters from the border of Gaza, and about 500 meters from the border of Egypt.
And tell us a little bit about yourself, your family.
I live in Kerem Shalom for the last 19 years. I have 3 children, 2 of them were born there. 14, 16, and 21. We were all at home on this Saturday, October 7th. All my 3 children and my son's girlfriend. We woke up at about 6:25 from a series of red alerts, ran into the safe room, And then we realized that it's not stopping. I used the application on the phone and it kept ringing all over Israel, and it seemed like something different is happening. The only time I remember such a massive missile attack was the day Gilad Shalit was kidnapped. And this reminded me of that morning. Around 7 a.m., we got a message from the security responsible at the kibbutz to lock our doors, to lock the security rooms. And then we started hearing gunfighting exchange outside the house.
Can you lock the security rooms?
We have an improvised system that we created in our kibbutz. Not all the safe rooms have them, only then we have a new neighborhood that doesn't have them yet. It was built a year ago and we didn't create them. But I'm not sure that that lock would hold if someone tried to open the door. In one of the houses, they tried to open the door, they just put a bomb to the door, and then no lock and no handle, no door would help in this case. The emergency squad of the kibbutz, it's 8 brave men that fought for 7 hours against dozens and dozens of terrorists that kept arriving. They basically saved our lives. 2 dear friends from the emergency squad were killed during these battles, Amichai Weizen and Yedidia Raziel. But thanks to them, no one was murdered in Kerem Shalom. No one was kidnapped in Kerem Shalom. And now all we have to do is support their families, and we feel that we owe these people our lives and rebuild our kibbutz because the damage is big. They did enter some houses, they shot around, they put some bombs all around the kibbutz. They exploded the wall. We have a concrete wall around the kibbutz, and the terrorists managed to bomb this wall and enter through the wall that we all always thought that keeps us safe. The story is the fact that the army didn't arrive. 7 hours, 8 men who had to leave their house, had to fight alone against dozens and dozens of terrorists, knowing that more and more are coming. And we always believed, my children can say that the army is around us and we're the safest place in Israel. Well, they could say it until October 7th. And the first thing they learned to tell everybody is that we're surrounded by army forces and we're the safest place in Israel. And we lost this illusion of being the safest place. On October 8th, we were evacuated to Eilat. We're not allowed to return to our homes now because it's defined as a military zone right now. And well, we're 5 stars refugees. We're in a hotel room, but you cannot have a family life. You cannot work. We didn't pack much, so we get a lot of help from the city of Eilat and the citizens of Eilat. And we are now looking for another alternative to move as a community, because our community is a strong community, and the community gives to each individual its strength. And hopefully we will be back home soon. We all lost, except for those 2 friends, the regional county of Eshkol. Eshkol is a small area, everybody knows everybody. And we all lost friends and teachers and therapists, and hopefully some of them will be back, but some of them are gone.
And do you know for how long you're gonna have to be staying out of the kibbutz? They're talking, I heard, somewhat around a year before people will be able to return.
We have no idea. We were told that it might take 6 months, it might take a year or two. We are lucky enough to have a place to go back to. Some of our neighbors don't even have a kibbutz to go back to. Nir Oz, Be'eri, Kfar Aza, nothing is left there. And we're almost a month after this terrible day, and I keep hearing more and more stories when I meet people, and it's impossible to understand how such a thing could happen.
When did the army get to you? What time did the army get involved?
Around 2 p.m. They fought 7 hours with no army around.
8 people.
Well, 8 people, yes. And with very little armor?
Ammunition.
Ammunition, yes, exactly.
Yes.
So they only shot single bullets and not, they really try to work as snipers and not as warriors.
They didn't have guns, the civilian squads?
They had guns, but they didn't have enough ammunition.
I see. And how are your kids doing?
One of them is already post-traumatic, so she's worse now.
Sorry to hear that.
We're actually trying to find a place to commit her and to start treatment. My son spent the whole Saturday with a friend that was shot and his parents were killed. He spent the whole day on the phone trying to make sure that he stays alive until someone gets to him. And he refuses to talk to anyone about what he's been through. But his friend is alive and well now.
Oh,
so it's the fact that he's alive is a miracle, but losing his parents is a disaster. So it's a mix of miracles and disasters and people that managed to survive but lost everything or everyone, families that were torn apart, some in the Gaza Strip, some are here. And my youngest daughter, she's very strong. Even though a therapist was murdered, she's a very, very strong kid.
You also sound very strong to me, Broria, talking about all this in such a short time after everything's occurred. Tell us, how are you managing to keep it all together?
My therapy is doing. I'm a person that has to do something. So as soon as we got to Eilat, I went to the emergency staff, the head of the emergency staff, and asked for a job. I need something to do. So now I'm very busy all the time, so I don't have the time to think, or I'm not saying that I'm smiling all the time and happy all the time, but I'm trying to be positive. I feel the last week, I really feel I got my life as a gift. This Saturday was like a Russian roulette. Some of them are lucky and some are not sometimes. And I feel that I got my life and I have to do the best of it. And I want to do it in Kerem Shalom. I want to rebuild Kerem Shalom. I want us to grow. We were just starting to plan a new neighborhood in Kerem Shalom, and I believe that we will manage to grow once this war will be over and people will join us.
Wow, Broria, I'm just gonna say to you, kol hakavod, and be strong. And
Thank
we're
you.
all behind you. And please God, you'll be back there rebuilding your community stronger and wider and with more citizens. And before we end, Moshe, maybe there's a few questions for Broria, and I saw a lot of beautiful words now coming up and saying be strong and prayers with them. Maybe share with her some of everyone's thoughts.
Sure. Bruria, thank you so much for joining us. It really means a lot to us to hear your story and the story of your kibbutz. And you say your therapy is doing. So doing this for us you can't even understand how helpful it is for us to connect to what is happening, to hear your story. People are sending their love and prayers to you, sending their regards from neighboring kibbutzim in the area. So brave, so strong. The messages keep coming in. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. We're going to now return to General Avivi. General, if you're still with us.
Yeah, I would
excellent.
like to say that, I think that it's our responsibility as a nation, as a state, the government, the army, to ensure all our citizens in the South that are now not at home, but want to return and rebuild their life, that they will never, ever face threats from Gaza. This is our responsibility. And I think that we understand it. We have a responsibility to completely destroy all these terror organizations' infrastructure and ensure that we build ourselves in a way that will never enable them to build back those capabilities. And we in IDSF, we will do the fight on the public sphere to make sure that no mistake is made again, that never will see follies that we saw in the last 30 years with terrible decision-making that cost us a lot of lives. And everything that happened to us, we brought it on ourselves. We took the decisions as a nation, whether it's Oslo, whether it's the disengagement, whether it's the decision-making not to reverse these decisions along many, many years. Now we're paying the price, and we must all make sure never again let our citizens be in danger. We have a responsibility, and we in IDSF on the public sphere will fight fiercely to make sure that the future of Israel will be bright and safe, and not only for Israelis, but we see the anti-Semitism around the world, and we understand that the state of Israel needs to be a safe haven, and a heaven, not only a safe haven, for all Jews around the world. Thank you, Moshe.
For sure. Bruria, again, the love is pouring in. People want to reach out to you and connect with you. So with your permission, we'll get your email address that we would be willing to share, and I can send it out to anyone who's interested in connecting.
Okay. Ronit has my email address and you can share it.
Okay. So everyone,
Thank
you
you.
can hear that. If you're interested in connecting with Bruria, if you're coming to Israel and you want to somehow try to meet up or something, please reach out and we will share that with you. I think we're out of time. So there were many questions. They're going to have to wait for next week. We have a very good lineup of guests to join us next week in our briefing. And please note that next week, with the change of the clock in the US, we're going to return to the 10 a.m. Eastern Time slot. With that, I wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom Be strong, be safe. Thank you for joining us.